What difference a day makes. Anger at the stubborn president on Saturday afternoon.
I don't think he's the best suited. For him to say it is just the elite, it is dishonest, it is arrogant.
I am angry.
Relief and gratitude exactly 24 hours later.
Thank you, Joe! Thank you, Joe!
This mansion has been fetishized for so long. It comes with so many expectations and so much disappointment. In terms of legislation, Joe Biden has been a very busy president. But there are no monuments for what the cold eye of history will remember most about President Biden: his early exit and the event that paved the way.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID.
The lost words of that excruciating debate unraveled what had been a remarkable political journey. Biden harvested much of his early experience and kudos from his upbringing in the poor end of Pennsylvania. He overcame a stutter and studied law, but not at an elite university.
His new face in the U.S. Senate next year will be that of Democrat Joseph Biden of Delaware.
At 29, he became one of the youngest U.S. senators ever, and ironically, age was an issue then too.
Judge me on my merit, not on my age.
He was sworn in at the hospital bed of his sons Beau and Hunter. They had survived the car accident that killed his wife and daughter. Biden had two big selling points. He was Joe in touch with regular Joes, commuting every day from his home in Delaware to his office in the U.S. Senate, a 4-hour round trip. And as a senator for 36 years, he knew the workings of Capitol Hill and had friends on all sides. That's why Barack Obama chose him to be, you guessed it, his running mate. A frosty relationship at first, it blossomed into a bromance.
The best vice president America's ever had.
Biden, seasoned but emotional, here given the highest honor by no drama Obama. Then more tragedy. The death at 46 of Biden's political heir, his beloved son Beau, who was being groomed for the highest office. Joe Biden was passed over for the presidential ticket in 2016.
Vice President, do you have what it takes to beat Donald Trump?
You know I do.
But it was he who ended up defeating Trump 4 years later. Saving America from another Trump presidency was his main calling card, then and until 2 days ago. But the march of time turned Joe the runner into Biden the stumbler. The archive of his missteps may be unfair, and they should of course be compared to Trump's catalogue of lies and crimes, both alleged and proven. But politics peddles in impressions, and Joe Biden's became a problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
American presidents aren't supposed to quit.
I will not accept the nomination.
The last time it happened was in 1968, when Lyndon Johnson shocked the nation by leaving the race. It was a year with some uncanny and uncomfortable parallels for today. An unpopular war, Vietnam in that case. Political violence, the assassinations of first Martin Luther King and then Robert Kennedy, brother of the dead JFK. He had entered the race because Vice President Hubert Humphrey was not the obvious favorite.
Unrestrained and indiscriminate police violence.
It all came to an ugly crescendo at the Democratic Convention in Chicago, the very city where the Democrats will meet in a month's time to anoint Biden's successor. It is now up to Kamala Harris to break the curse of '68 and arrive in Chicago as the undisputed heir, hoping to avoid one more parallel. That year, the Republican candidate won by a whisker. His name was Nixon, and Trump is banking on that part of history repeating itself. Well, with me now is the pollster and political strategist, Cornell Belcher. Cornell, wonderful to see you. You're very lucky. You get the dry slot.
Well, the rainbow hopefully will come over soon.
Obviously, just as a matter of minutes. We spoke literally a week ago,
yes.
And when I suggested the possibility that Joe Biden might be bowing out of the race, you more or less said, no. He is there to stay, and his poll numbers back him up.
Well, he changed his mind.
I hate to
apparently.
mention it.
He changed his mind.
Were your poll numbers wrong? Or?
No. I think it was drip, drip, drip. Another 2 weeks of negative press stories of Dems fighting amongst themselves, which was really problematic as opposed to turning our attention to Donald Trump.
So was it the polls? Was it the money drying up? Was it, whispers in his ear from his wife and his son maybe? What do you think made it?
I think it was a confluence of things, really. But I do, more than anything else, I do think Democrats couldn't stand another 2-3 weeks of Democrats fighting as opposed to focusing on Donald Trump and the contracts.
Okay, so now we have Kamala Harris. Although people have opinions about her, especially Republicans, negative ones and positive ones on the other side, in a sense, she's got a blank slate here, doesn't she? She can redefine herself.
She does.
What does she need to do?
Well, one, she has to define herself, right? Raise her name ID. They know her, but they don't really know her story. And she has a remarkable story of how she rose up through politics in California and what she's been fighting for. And she's got to talk to the voters about what she's been fighting for in California and how she's going to fight for them in the future.
And which demographic does she need to persuade, especially in order to get into the White House?
Well, it's not one single demographic, but it's a coalition. I think more than almost any other candidate on the national stage right now, she is the embodiment and inheritor of what I call the Obama coalition. I worked for Obama on both his campaigns, and that group of younger, more diverse Americans who fell in love with Barack Obama and rallied around Barack Obama and propelled him into winning back-to-back majorities. I think she has a real opportunity to engage them and mobilize them better than any other candidate.
But can they fall in love with her?
I don't think they need to fall in love with her, right? I think they can. I think in her they see themselves. Right, she is a person of diversity. She is the swirl of the new America.
Right. So, considering what you just said, it would be really nice to get an endorsement from Barack Obama. There hasn't been one yet. What is going on?
I think it would be almost even better to get one from Michelle Obama. But yes,
That's a serious question. The Obamas haven't said anything yet. Everyone else has said something, but they haven't.
I think. Well, he's the former president. I think. And former Speaker Pelosi came out today and endorsed. So I think it's a progression, and I think
but what
pretty
are they
soon,
waiting for?
I think they're waiting to get all the politics lined up. And again, I think you need to get Pelosi lined up and in place. And I think after Pelosi, I think you'll soon see, by probably this week, I'd be really surprised if he doesn't get behind her.
And we talked a little bit earlier about the pick of vice president. How important is that for her in order to move the dial in her direction?
It's people like us, we always weigh in on how important it is. And in the end, voters are still voting for the top of the ticket, right? I think you can do yourself harm with the wrong pick, but history tells us...
Sarah Palin, for instance.
Exactly, but history tells us that the vice presidential pick does not change the trajectory and dynamics of a race unless it's the wrong pick.
And also, if you dwell too much on the vice presidential pick, people are going to say, hold on a minute, I'm not voting for him or her, I'm voting for the main person.
You still got to sell her to the American people and make her comfortable, the American people comfortable with her.
And just very briefly, what is her best line of attack against Donald Trump?
Well, she's a prosecutor, and part of the problem is it's a target-rich environment, from everything from sexual assault to felony convictions to his running the country into chaos. So it's a plethora of assaults, but I think where she's leaned in is fighting for democracy and our rights and freedoms.
And she can try and bring out the worst in him?
Well, the worst is already out. I mean, what more?
In terms of his misogyny or whatever, alleged misogyny.
Well, no, he was adjudicated and found guilty of sexual assault. But yeah, I mean, I think the women's vote will be critical this election cycle.
Cornel Belcher, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.